United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, trustee Hall makes a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Vice Chair Brown seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. Next is celebrations and delegations. Any celebrations?
No.
None?
We just have two teachers who retired this year, Lana Sage and Bob Selly, and they both have been with our district for many years, so it's a celebration for them. They've had very successful careers and served a lot of children in our district.
Good. Okay, any discussion items? Board focus.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to read, if I may, the new newsletter that you put out today.
Okay.
Because there's, I'm sure, some folks that didn't see it on the websites.
Here, use your microphone and speak up, please.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to read what the chairman had put on the Facebook page. I believe it's a Snapchat page and a Twitter page today. This is going to be a weekly newsletter that goes out from the board. So it's currently going to be called the Spartan News Updates from the West Bonner County School Board. And it's, did you know? Congratulations to the 44 of the 2023 Lamana High students that graduated this year. Congratulations to the following West Bonner County employees on their retirement, and thank you for your years of service to the community. Both of the ones that Susie just mentioned, Mona and Bob. And first and foremost, the board would like to dispel the rumors of the voted on budget for the school year 2023 and 2024. The board has not made any cuts to programs or to staff at this point. The board gave direction to the interim superintendent to give suggestions on where there could be cuts made should it be necessary for the board to consider when the board has a final budget vote. The interim superintendent met with the principals and the directors, and they compiled a list of 8 positions to eliminate. In addition to that, the superintendent, principal, and directors came up with a list of what they saw was necessary for the school district. This list comprised of the following in the order they were deemed important: the staff, transportation, security, and facilities. Again, please understand that the board has not made any final decisions on this list or the 8 positions. The board has not made a vote to cancel sports or music. The board has not made a vote to remove quantum learning. The board has not made a vote to close Priest Lake Elementary School. The board does understand that in the last 12 months, the West Bonner County School District has gone through some very challenging times. There's 3 new board members. One long-term superintendent moved away. He retired out, but then I believe he got a job like right away after that. A new short-term superintendent resigned. One interim superintendent, a new superintendent that to begin on June 26th. We have moved from a parents opt-in policy instead of opt-out. We removed the SEL ELA curriculum. We have increased the GPA requirements. We moved to a 4-day school work week. We have introduced quantum learning, and we have a strong 5-year strategic plan for the district. As in the case in any town, there's incorrect information being shared, and the board wants the community to know that we do hear your concerns regarding sports. Please understand that the board has never stated that sports are not a value-added component to our schools. The confusion and misinformation is not helpful, and the board asks that you please rely on the weekly update newsletters that will only come from the board. This information is accurate. Sincerely, the West Bonner County Board Chair.
I have a question on that, because you said it was through Twitter and Snapchat, and I'm unfamiliar with that, so, Chairman Rutledge, if you could teach me how I can get that letter, how are you doing that? What's
Well,
Twitter, Snapchat?
it goes on multiple platforms. Facebook, it's going on the West Bonner County School District website, Twitter, Instagram, any of the social medias. This is gonna go out once a week.
And then I have one question. The one that I read said that the superintendent starts on June 26th, but I missed that on that bullet point. No, she said.
No,
Oh,
I
you
did say,
Okay,
yeah.
then I'm sorry, it's fixed.
Okay.
So my question is, I didn't see it. The board as a whole didn't approve it. I am concerned about it going out without the board taking a look at it, because one of my comments would be on the, stating that we have increased the GPA requirements. I agree that we have, but we had actually continued increasing. We've done it a couple of times. So I didn't see it until you read that one, and I got this one. So I think it needs to some way be circulated to the board before it goes out and is posted, so we can comment to make sure that we're in agreement, because I didn't sign my name to it on it.
That is signed as the board chairman, as an elected official. This is just a communication.
And I appreciate
You
the,
can do that as well.
But the title is under West Bonner County School District Board. And I got it. I saw it on Facebook for the first time. And I don't disagree with what's on there, but if we have to work as a board, we need to work as a board. And we can't have
Fair enough.
small groups within the board working together.
and I appreciate the intent of trying to communicate, and I don't disagree with that. I just need to have, communicate with us first, sorry, maybe.
Okay.
That would be helpful. Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Any other comments?
I have a board report.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
My question was, is the Twitter and Snapchat, are those on district
Yes.
sites on
Yes.
Twitter? And
Yeah.
Okay,
This went through
Brenna?
Brenna.
Okay, thank you for that.
Is it Snapchat or Instagram that you're referring to?
I think it's Instagram.
I believe we have Instagram, I didn't know we had Snapchat.
Okay.
Probably not.
Okay, yeah, I don't do Snapchat
Okay.
or Instagram, but.
Okay, so whatever our district sites are.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, because I think it's listed actually on the
Yeah, it is,
website.
it is. I
But
just
you're right, I
wanted to
think there's
get
only
clear.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the future, it won't be listed as board comments, it'll be listed as individual.
Oh.
So you're still not gonna share it with your whole board?
Well, no, it's, we're all elected officials, we all,
Not when you're saying it's the board, that's the
right,
body.
and that's what I said.
So,
Okay.
so when the phrase is that we need to trust you, and on the bottom of your thing, get your information from the board,
Right.
but now it's just you, there lies
And
the trust.
Okay.
So, Keith, I would suggest that, I'm not against trying to have better communications. We've talked about that, so maybe we can figure out a way, if you're going to put it out again, it just would be nice to see it before it went out, as a board member. That would be,
I would actually suggest you put it on the next agenda as an action item, and the board discusses it and actually makes action to put you in that position to put out a letter.
Okay. All right. Any other comments?
I have a board report. There was a question about ISBA, and I did some research on it. Our upcoming invoice for this year is $4,538.32. Our policy updates are $695. We do get a dividend, our last dividend in 2022 was $2,194. And it may not be quite as much as this coming year because of the Pocatello High School fire. But we went up a little higher because we had over 1,000. If we go under 1,000, our fee will go down. Somebody made the statement that the policies can be right now accessible membership or non-membership. It's a mistake. ISBA is closing that down, that loophole, so that the policies are only going to be for those members of ISBA. The other thing is I reached out to Lake Ponderay to find out, I had heard after I talked to the board chair over there, that they had a conversation between one of the trustees, the board clerk, and the businessman, or the CFO over there. They did reach out to another attorney down in, somebody was suggesting an attorney down in Boise who might be able to help, and they got a quote, and they shared it with me. It said we would need to adopt her complete set at a cost of $4,500. We would also need to purchase her annual policy update service, which we could receive quarterly updates at a cost of $2,600. We could order individual policies for $150 to $600 each if we wanted. That is not included in her time. If we have policy questions, we are billed at her hourly rate of $190. That the statement that was made from both the board clerk over there and the chair is that the value per dollar that ISBA offers over and above what we actually pay for is hard to quantify. They actually are accessible to be able to be reached. They also, in terms of, they reached out to their insurance company, and basically the risk to, in terms of risk management, the feeling was that ISBA was well worth it in terms of risk management and the value per dollar. So I wanted to give you that update. I did do the research after somebody made that comment, and there's a lot of benefits to it. We don't have to take everything they say on the policies. We can, craft them ourselves. We can edit them. We don't have to take them verbatim, but they do get funneled through their attorneys, and they get looked at very closely. So that's my report on that.
Thank you. Okay. The events and revelations of the last few days have underscored the need for all of us to serve our community with good faith, effort, and represent the diversity of opinion in our district. And the opinion is most certainly not one-sided. As a reminder, this board has been elected to represent a total of almost 13,000 residents living in about 5,300 different households, including not quite 1,100 students from somewhere between 10% and 20% of those households. We remain grateful that our community of 13,000 district residents has taken up its constitutional responsibility to provide for the education of 1,100 of our younger residents. And we must also remain responsible to the fiduciary trust which that entire community has placed in us. If we, the administrators of this school district, are honest with ourselves, we must admit that the district has not fully lived up to the trust that the entire community has placed in it, and we must do a better job of building that trust. Using bitter and divisive rhetoric to degenerate as uncaring those who may find fault in the past performance of the district, and those who call for more accountability and better performance does not help build that trust with the 13,000 residents who surrender their hard-earned productivity to this taxing district. We must do better than that. We must focus on improving our professionalism, improving our transparency, and most importantly, improving our results in the task to which we are constitutionally bound, namely to provide for the stability and of the Republican form of government by maintaining a free public common schools. I have dedicated my personal time and energy to that task, and I invite the members of this board, the administration of the district, and our teachers and staff to hold that task as our common priority. I just want to say thank you for your dedication and focus on our constitutional duty. Okay, next up is principal reports.
Hi, I'm Lynn Parker. I'm the principal at Priest River Elementary School. And so this is my June report. And it's basically just a little bit about the end of the school year. So I'm just stating that we did complete all of our assessments and we met the requirements of the percentage of people taking the assessments. All of our students did improve, though at Priest River Elementary School, we did not quite make our math goal, even though that was my focus for this school year. We did make our writing goal though. So another thing that I did work on as a goal of mine was improving attendance. And so we did some really great things with attendance this year. We had 96 students attend the first quarter attendance party that had perfect attendance for the whole first quarter. We had, second quarter, we had 90 students attend, no, I think it was 85, it went down. Went to the Roxy, and then we had 96 for third quarter that went to the Camas Center and went swimming, and then this last quarter, we walked 106 students down to the park and had pizza and root beer floats, and I want to thank our police officers for escorting us down there. It was a lot of kids to get there, and all the parent volunteers that helped me and the staff that helped me. It was a great event. Another thing that we were doing to raise awareness of attendance was classroom awards. And so Miss Glazier's sixth grade class had 55 days of perfect attendance in her class. Our second places were Miss Riddle's third grade and Miss Carey's fourth grade with 46 days. And then Miss Nelson's first grade class had 43 days. So they did a great job of trying to get there every day. We had so many things happen at the end of the year. I have some things listed here. We had the 5th and 6th grade track meet, and we had an amazing amount of parents support that. We had 2 field days, K3 and 4/6, and again, parent volunteers are amazing. We couldn't do the amazing things without you, so thank you. And we had our kindergarten and first grade teachers set up dress up and activity days to try to improve attendance for their school, for their classes, and they did color days and dress up days and a whole bunch of things. One of the neat things that's happening right now is there's 4 teachers from my school that are attending an iSTEM training at NIC. And in fact, I drove up here straight up from my training. And so we have Miss Nelson, Miss Wendell, Rachel Davis, our art STEAM room teacher, and myself. And what's cool is it cost us only $50 to take the training, but we're bringing back $1,200 worth of supplies that we're going to get to use with our students. So we're really excited about that. We had personnel. I have a lot of people resigning right now. But I do want to congratulate Kathy Cordes. She was a custodian at our school for many years, and she's amazing, and she left in May. And Mona Sage, our second grade teacher, which we're really going to miss her too. So, but I have several resignations, and I just got another text just about when I was standing out in line to come in. So we have Emily McCoy, kindergarten, Tracy Markley, third grade, Barbara McLean, fourth grade, Rachel Reed, fifth and sixth grade combo, Carissa Torman, our resource teacher, and Andrea Ashley, my sixth grade math teacher, is now leaving. So that's going to be a detriment to my school. Some cool things that we did have, though, I have pictures for the board. We had our banana visit, and our kids just absolutely loved having that. I have our track meet pictures of that, our attendance award walking down, and then you can see the events and the kids in the park. I want to also thank our EMS people for having 2 field trips for our students. We had our kindergarten go and our second grade, and that was amazing. And another neat thing that our kids did was Miss Riddle, right before Memorial Day, walked her class to the cemetery behind our school. Oh, sorry. And they got to put flags on veterans' graves. So that was another neat thing our kids got to do. So that was the end of the school year at Priest River Elementary School. Thank you.
Okay. You are the principal?
I just combined some of my emails with the
Okay.
superintendent report, so I'll just do it later.
Okay. Next up is the comments from the audience. you just want to remind people, speak to the chair, no personal attacks, keep it cordial. Yes.
Before you complete, your microphone's off. There you go. There you are.
Oh.
Well, your light is off, I should say.
Thanks. There. Okay, first up is Paul Turco.
Hello, my name is Paul Turco, and first I'd like to applaud and congratulate Susie Lucky, Trustee Hall, Trustee Barton, and Miss Steffi Pavey. You have shown immense courage, and you each are incredible positive assets to our district and community. Thank you. I would like to officially request that Trustee Brown, Trustee Reinbold, and Trustee Rutledge add their names to the list of resignations. You've lost the faith of the community. You are the cause of the public discourse, and you have cost the district time and money. Never has ignorance been an acceptable defense, and it will not be accepted here. Lastly, I would also like to publicly volunteer for the Zone 2 seat.
Okay, thank you. Next up, Missy Hill.
Thank you. I am here to talk a little bit about the budget and our new possible superintendent. I am puzzled, disheartened, and frankly disgusted by the actions of Chair Rutledge, Vice Chair Brown, and Trustee Reinbold. They're refusing to acknowledge overwhelming community support for Susie Lucky as the right choice as a qualified superintendent of West Bonner County. Mrs. Lucky has been serving our district for decades and has the respect and admiration of our community and our children. Instead, Chair Rutledge, Vice Chair Brown, and Trustee Reinbold are supporting an unqualified and very much not community-supported candidate as a superintendent. Because this candidate does not have the qualifications to be a superintendent, his salary and benefits, which in the original ask were outrageous, will be coming out of the district's general budget. This budget is in crisis already. Now you are choosing to put the district into an even more dangerous fiscal position with your support of Mr. Durst. The board is illegally disregarding their fiduciary responsibility to district funds and not representing the interests of our community by ignoring the community's outcry of support for Mrs. Lucky.
Next up, Whitney Hutchins.
My name is Whitney Hutchins. Things I don't understand. A district in a financial crisis in which the board decides, 3 board members decide against community wishes to A, hire a superintendent who is not qualified with a ridiculous salary, and B, consider outside counsel, which seems to me would be much more expensive than the counsel that the district provides. I would also hope that when you look at that resignation list in front of you, you realize those resignations are due to 3 of the board members completely disregarding the best interests of our kids, teachers, and community. I would also like to publicly thank Trustee Hall, Trustee Barton, Board Clerk Steffi Pavey, and Interim Superintendent Mrs. Lucky for their continued support of the community.
Next up, Kathleen Else. I don't know. I can't read your last name.
It's a tough one.
Hi, I'm Katie Elsesser. I'm a parent of current students here in our district as well as a graduate from here. And aside from attending college and law school, I've lived in Priest River my entire life. Education and politics don't mix. It's not how it's supposed to be. Yes, we are a very conservative town, but it's not about politics, it's about education and of all walks of life. We're facing a large budget shortfall. We all know that. That means cuts are being made. We're already seeing that. We don't know what your final budget will be, but you know there'll be cuts made. I'm an attorney. I know how much money we charge people. So going outside of what you already have for legal counsel when we already have a budget shortfall makes absolutely no sense. in such a financial, it's unsound to hire a superintendent who we likely will have to pay out a general fund if he doesn't get his waiver. We have someone that proves that she can get the waiver, but there's other candidates if that's not the case. But going forward with someone who will likely cost our general fund, which means any funds that could be for any co-curriculars, might be at risk. Hiring outside counsel is a reckless disregard to the financial state, and I don't need a forensic audit to know that. In the words of the person that 3 of you think is qualified for our school district, Brandon Durst, I trust parents and I'm a defender of parents, and we need to put parents back in the driver's seat of our children's education. These are the parents, they've spoken loudly, not community members, they are parents, and the parents are saying no. So please do not misuse funds by hiring outside counsel to try and push through an unqualified candidate. I'm asking you to use financial responsibility. Additionally, the community wants to be involved. Embrace that and let the junior high be used, or the high school, because the community wants to be involved. And the more you shut people down, the further the anger and frustration will build. People need a voice and they need to be able to be participants. You need to encourage that. Thank you for your time.
Yep. Okay. Next up is Maureen Patterson.
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for all the gifts you give to us, in particular this beautiful rain that you've been sending. Please open our minds and our hearts to your holy will and bless this meeting. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Publicly, I want to thank Trustee Rutledge, Trustee Brown, and Trustee Reinbold for standing up for accountability and transparency. I put down the bills for my specific topic, so the two that I'm questioning are questioning in the fact that I'd like to know more about them. Delaying Landon, public finance, $827.09. It says principal payment and interest, so I'm just curious about it. Number 2, Riverside Insights, ESSER 3 funds being used for learning loss, LMS supplies, 3003. Thank you very much.
Okay, next up, Sandra Brower.
Hi, my name is Sandra Brower, and first thing on the agenda I want to talk about is the resignations of 16 employees and 0 hires. That's very concerning, and I think that's a really loud message to the board. You have a responsibility to govern this district, and it's just not going in the right direction. I would also like to reiterate what I said earlier. I think that I'd like to know what meeting that you guys put on the agenda for you to write a letter. So I really strongly encourage you to put that on the agenda and actually take action on that. Policy 3283 about, I think that's the sexual gender policy that you guys are looking at. I'm kind of curious what Idaho code you're referring to when you have that agenda. And also you say in there that it's up to the building or the district administrator. I'd like to know what that means. Is that the building administrator or district? Because the superintendent you guys just hired is publicly put out on social media, has discussed for transgender people. So I'm very concerned with how that superintendent is going to keep our transgender kids safe. Outside counsel for contract negotiation. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if we're paying for outside counsel, so can they. So now you've got 2 attorneys doing the bidding when we have no money. Forensic audit. This has been a scare tactic used by this board and by members of our community. You guys have been in charge for almost 2 years. Do it already. I really would strongly also encourage you guys to move the meetings. You guys have done what I could not do for 10 years. You've got people involved and people here. So praise God for that. Maybe Brandon Durst did that. I don't know. I don't care that people are involved. So please make your meetings, your public meetings where public can attend. So I really want to strongly encourage you to change the site and do it at the junior high or the high school. Oh, darn. Thank you.
Okay, that's it for public comments for now. We have some for the end. I need a motion to consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, but then I have a comment afterwards.
Okay, I have a motion from trustee Hall to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Vice Chair Brown seconds. Comments?
Yes, regarding the June 14th meeting, I feel that there was a definite open meeting violation since 3 of the board members had a script that 2 of us could not see, and that to amend the agenda, 2 board members can bring an item to the agenda, but I feel that what was done on the June 14th meeting was in violation of open meeting, because I believe that trustee Barton actually asked to see or what was the item that you were looking at, and she was denied access to it. So I'm going on the record that that was, in my mind, an open meeting violation, and I am actually following up with that with the county prosecutor.
Okay.
I have a quick question. There are a couple people messaging me that say that they are blocked from posting on the district's Facebook, the live stream. Is that correct? And just a few people? Do you? It should be everyone. So they're saying it's just a couple of people, just so you know.
It took me a few minutes to figure out how to do the block, but
Okay.
everyone's blocked now.
Okay,
So a few people did comment before I got it.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
And then there are some questions regarding the bills. I think that actually this would be under the questions that Ms. Patterson asked, that Maureen asked about the bills, and then I had 1 or 2 quickly. So I would follow up with Steffi. I think there was one for $827 and then one for $3,000.
So trustee Brown, or Vice Chair Brown, had submitted her questions, and so I was able to get that documentation. She also had a question about the finance charge, and then ISBA comment saying, should it be suspended until the board decides? That can be decided at any point in time by the board, but until it's decided by the board, here are the bills. Vice Chair Brown.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I'm more than happy to provide documentation for any of the questions. If you could just email me the question prior to the board meeting so that I can gather that information, those documents.
Okay.
And same with the public, if there's a question regarding a bill or financial report, please just email it to me.
Okay, and I may look at the ones that Susan, trustee Vice Chair Brown has, that it might be the same question, so she may be asking the same.
Yeah, because, which one were you looking for?
The communications for 62. Capital expenditures, Evaco, sound and electronic.
So I had Riverside, and then the Scotsman. That is the one that's just for the, for sports equipment, correct?
No, ma'am.
Oh, that's not?
No, it is a special service portable, and I forget which position it's specifically for.
The portable that
What
we
was the
have?
portable? It's for special services?
Yes,
And
yes.
what position is that?
What position? It was for, I think, the school site
Okay.
used that.
Educational support counselors, and that portable, I know that.
Thank you.
Are you talking about the little one by the high school? Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I just saw it as a portable, and I just wanted to verify what that portable was
Yes, it's for
being used
special
for.
services.
Yes.
And given what I found out for ISBA and that, having done the research, I would not I would say that they offer us a service that's well worth it for us.
And then the financial, Linden Public Financial, what is that a bill for?
So I believe that the bill that has been provided, the dollar amount in the email didn't match the invoice that I pulled, but our accounts payroll specialist pulled the most recent invoice.
Do you want to see this one? And then Riverside Insights. This was for,
Oh, these are for our copiers. This one is.
that one is, okay, that's
I think
what, yeah, because it doesn't.
That's our copy. I knew that it was mentioned, but it was Minolta, Manola. I'm pretty sure this is our copiers at the different, the 827 looks like it's for the copiers at the different sites. Yeah, that's what that is.
So Riverside Insights provided, this looks like Easy CBM extension,
Yes.
420 of them.
Yes, those are site license for students when we use our assessment tool. Riverside Insight is the name, it's called ECCBM. So that's the cost per child when we do those assessments. So benchmark assessment? Yes,
Did you want to see that?
No, that's okay.
benchmark assessments for reading and math.
It helps us do our math.
Do you want to see either one of these? Do you want to see either one of these?
And then I don't see Faith Hughes as an employee, but we paid her, it looks like for travel.
Quantum Learning?
We shouldn't use her name.
So her name shows up on the bill, and any more information would be provided to match information.
Yeah, can I tell you that?
Sure, thank you.
It's personal.
No problem. Do you want to see any of these? So, this has your signature on it.
Which one is? The copier? If it's the copier, there would have been.
No, this is the bill that just got paid last month.
How did that get up there?
Is it the ECCBM? I'll take a look. It looks like it's just a
Your
glitch.
signature ninja. So I would just, I would like to make a motion that we hold off on the one for the ISBA until the board's had an opportunity to talk more at length on
Okay.
where we want to go.
All right. Okay, any more discussion?
I guess I would say what date and time certain on that other, on the ISBA one, because I think there is value to it. I can provide you with the information that I received from Lake Ponderay, and I can pass that on.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda as amended, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, consent agenda is passed. We amended, oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
No, that's okay, I'm just curious.
Yeah, okay. Those in favor of amending the consent agenda to wait on ISBA, please say aye.
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 I think, do we need a motion in a second? Sorry.
Oh,
I think we need a motion in a second to do it. What I would do is pull out the ISBA billing, that one for the bill, and I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the comment that I made on June 14th and the other bills, and I will withhold for separate motion the ISBA bill.
okay. So the motion on the table is to accept the consent agenda without ISBA, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, do I have a second?
I second that.
Okay, trustee Hall makes a motion to consent agenda minus the ISBA. Vice Chair Brown seconds that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the consent agenda is passed.
Chair Rutledge,
Yes.
your microphone, Carla's microphone, and Susie's microphone are off.
The batteries are dead.
Okay, I'm just telling you, people are just
Mine is,
mentioning that's hard to hear you.
there it goes.
So
Okay.
maybe if you guys could just speak up when you speak, that would be great.
It's right here.
That'll go off here in a minute. Thank
Yeah.
you.
But we appreciate it, sorry, just
Yeah,
it's
no,
hard to hear.
technical difficulties. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, next up, I need a motion to bring second read policies to the table.
I'll make a motion to bring the second read of, do you want all the policies listed or just?
We'll go, just bring them to the table and we'll discuss them one by one.
I make a motion to bring the second read of the policies to the table.
Okay, Vice Chair Brown makes a motion to bring the second read of the policies to the table. Do I have a second? Trustee Reinbold seconds. Discussion on policy 3283, biological sex.
Yes, I have been doing some more research, and though I know you don't want to hear ISBA actually has two policies that they put out that I'm going to pass down to you. This policy 3283 actually is delving into two chapters. It delves into our 3000 series student and our facilities series 9000. What I'm handing you is the combination of, there is one that falls under the students 3000, would be 3281, and the other one is having to do with the facilities 90, and in the 9000 it would be 9605. What I am looking at is that these have actually been reviewed by attorneys. I don't feel that our current board policy on biological sex, has the answer to who the attorney is that has reviewed that has been not satisfactorily I'm not satisfied with the answer that I've gotten, because I've gotten no answer, and I suggest that we look at these as an alternative where we would have a gender identity and sexual orientation under students, and then the second part would be facilities separated by sex, and we could be, as a board, these are generated from ISBA and their spring policy, as I said they were going to be, and there were two of them, and they actually have the Idaho code, the federal code laws, the policies they are actually citing those, whereas the other one is more of a layman's legal document. It's not, I mean, it's a layman's document, not a legal document in my mind. So I would make a recommendation that we table the board policy on biological sex, review these 3281, 9605, as I said, one's facilities, one is student, and review them in light, review the other one in light of these, which actually are much more of a legal document that we can fall back on if there's a legal challenge. Yes, I got you. And let's see, and Susie, that could be for Susie and then, wait a minute, I've got two, Maureen, I've got two of them, so let's see, there's that. And I can give you, does everyone have one? And then, here's one more, I've got actually one more.
Okay, so the motion on the table is, or on the table is to table policy 9605 until a comparison is done between policy 9605 and ISBA policy 3281, is that correct?
3281 and the 90, they go together, the 3281 and then the 96, whatever, what is the other number? 9605. So, because one's facilities and the 3283 actually combines both. They deal with facilities and student issues, and they kind of mix and match rather than separating these two policies, separate them into 3281 into 96 into the other one. And then we can, again, these are frameworks. I feel more comfortable with these as a legal document, as our policy. We can change them, we can edit them, we can do the editing, but the framework is a better sound starting point.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, trustee Barton seconds. All those in favor of tabling 9605, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I guess I'm confused why we are, oh, okay,
We're just doing a
yes,
comparison.
absolutely, got it.
Okay. Okay, so the motion carries, is that correct? We have 4 ayes?
Yes.
Okay, 5 ayes? Okay. Okay, that's tabled until we do a comparison. Next up is policy 7400P3.
I will make a motion to bring policy 7400P3, requirement restrictions for procurement under a federal award competition. I guess we've already brought it to the table. I do have some discussion points on it. I know that there was a question regarding, from Ann Chamberlain, regarding the paragraph that starts with additional towards the bottom. It says the additional district shall require school meal program suppliers to attest that their final food products are either 100% domestic commodities or a food product containing over 51% domestic food components by weight or volume. That is confusing, and it goes down further. I think this policy actually uses the food or food product, where the food should be agricultural commodity or food product. I think what they're looking at is looking at the commodity or food product. I don't know, I know what Ms. Chamberlain was talking about. I just don't know if there's a reason we have to keep that language in for the program, the food program for the food program. I'm not sure about that. But I think if we kept it in, I would change commodity, 100% domestic agricultural commodities or food product. And then in the exceptions, I would say instead of the food or food product, say the agricultural commodity or food product is not produced or manufactured in the United States. And then in number 2, where it again says just food, I would say agricultural commodity or food product. Food or food product is confusing in my mind.
All right.
If you can read my writing.
All those in favor of accepting policy 7400P3 with Margie's edits, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, so the 7400P3, second read, is passed with Margie's edits. Okay, policy 3340P, corrective actions and punishment for students with disabilities.
You did do a motion in a second before you voted last on the second.
Okay. So I'll back up and make a motion for policy 7400P to approve with those changes that I suggested, changing food to agricultural commodity.
Okay, Margie Hall makes a motion to accept policy with modifications. Do I have a second? Vice Chair Brown seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, 7400P3 with modifications are adopted. Thank you.
Keith, I'm so sorry, question. Are we going back to all of the resignations and the approval of the minutes?
We already did. Did. Consent agenda.
Thank you. My apologies. I appreciate the clarification.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll make a motion for policy 3340P, corrective actions and punishment for students with disabilities. And I think the only change on this one was we were going to, under 5, use the first work missed during the period of suspension cannot be made up for consideration for grading, if I remember correctly.
Right.
And so I think it's the only change.
That was edited from the first read, is that correct?
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay.
that's
That was the
we
first
decided.
read.
And then the title of this is corrective actions and punishments. And we need to take off for students with disabilities because it's the procedures for all corrective actions and punishments. And the policy does include students with disabilities, but it's also for all students.
Okay,
So the title, we just forgot to change.
okay, perfect.
So that part gets struck.
All right, do I have a motion to accept policy 3340P, corrective actions and punishments for students with disabilities?
No.
We're not doing.
Yes, there's
So it's
Yeah.
just corrective actions and punishments.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I make a motion to approve policy 3340P, corrective actions and punishments.
Okay, I have a motion from Vice Chair Brown to accept policy 3340P, corrective actions and punishments for students with disabilities. Do I have a second?
So I'll second it with the amendment that we change the title and that we accept under 5, the first line.
All right. You have the first and second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Policy 3340P, corrective action and punishments for students. There you go. There. Thank you. Okay, next. Policy 3265, student-owned electronic communication devices.
I'll make a motion to bring policy 3265, student-owned electronic communication devices to the table.
Okay, Vice Chair Brown makes a motion for policy 3265, student-owned electronic communication devices to the table. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Hall seconds. Discussion.
I'm trying to see if I didn't, were there any changes on this? I was not finding any.
The only changes were to take out cell phones because they said that would be handled in the handbooks.
Okay.
That is true.
All right, so let me see which,
You
I think
changed
it was
those
just
to
up at the top
devices,
there somewhere.
to the word devices. You just moved, you took out cell phones and put devices
okay.
when you wrote it.
Oh, the devices will not be used right there?
Yeah, yeah. You use that
Instead of
instead
cell
of,
phone
yes,
devices,
yes,
cell phone.
yeah, when you wrote the policy. Otherwise, this did, and this passed the first read last time.
Okay. So I'll make a motion, you brought it to the table, but I'll make a motion to approve 3265, student-owned electronic communications devices.
Okay. Trustee Hall makes a motion for policy 3265, student-owned electronic communication devices. Do I have a second? Okay, trustee Barton seconds. She seconds policy 3265, student-owned electronic communication devices. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay, policy is adopted, or second read. Next, action items. I need a motion for consideration and approval of bus leasing policy and procedure guidelines.
I'll make a motion for consideration and approval of bus leasing policy and procedure guidelines.
Okay, trustee Paul makes a motion for consideration and approval of bus leasing policy and procedure guidelines. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Trustee Barton seconds.
I haven't seen anything on this, so I've not seen any document on this one, so I would like to read it. I would have liked to have read it beforehand, and depending how big it is, I might ask to table it.
I haven't seen it either.
No,
It wasn't attached.
It's not on mine.
Okay. Do you have that?
I would recommend that it be tabled.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to table it until, when, I guess, Steffi, is there a time certain that this has to be done? On the bus?
There's a transition to the transportation director, so potentially.
Can it be wait until our July meeting? Can I table it? Okay, I make a motion to table it to our monthly July meeting.
Okay. Trustee Hall makes a motion to table consideration and approval of bus leasing policy and procedure guidelines. Trustee Barton seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. It's tabled. Okay, next is consideration and approval of the 2023-2024 child nutrition price change. Need a motion to bring it to the table?
I'll make a motion to bring the consideration approval of 2023-2024 child nutrition price change to the table.
Okay, trustee.
Chair Rutledge, is this a policy issue?
Is
Are
this-
more use services needed at the podium any longer?
No.
Is coming. No, well, I can sit down.
No, the
but then when you
policies
get
are-
to G-
If you could finish the
We
policy,
can't
you want to see what's behind it, yes.
Well, they changed it, yeah.
It's not talking about policy any longer, correct?
Right.
It's not, it's just tough to see, so I just want to. Thank you.
Okay. Where was I? Oh, did we
My
bring?
apologies.
Okay, did we bring it to the table?
I made a motion to, I don't know if there was a second.
Okay, I need a second for consideration and approval of 2023-2024 child nutrition price change.
I second that.
Okay, Vice Chair Brown seconds. Comments?
Just ask Steffi for, like to ask our business manager for a description of it or any background on it?
Please, could you speak to that, please?
So this was proposed by our food service director, Terry Johnson. And it's just a change of meal pricing.
Okay.
And Steffi, is there any,
Meal pricing.
we don't have any, do we have any wiggle room on this, Steffi, at all? Basically, if we're providing food, is there, I mean, this is what, is there anything that we can actually change on this at this point?
I have a question. If you guys don't even know what your budget is, how can you be approving or disapproving these items that are changing the budget again, when you don't have one?
That's what we're discussing right now. We're bringing this up, discussing it.
So Steffi, it looks like all of these prices are reduced from the 2022 to 2023 school year.
No, they're not.
They went up.
Yeah, it says,
Please,
gotcha.
Yeah. Don't they have to go up a certain amount every year?
I think so.
I don't know what this might be in there.
It's-
Facebook is saying they're not.
It's not, the battery.
It keeps dying. Do you, did you like
What kind of batteries does it
Okay,
take
I'm
to
gonna
bring
share,
something?
share with you. Do, with Steffi?
Could, I have a
Ste-
suggestion, could you just put Susan's between you, and then when you're photocopying,
Okay, thank you.
suggestion, I like it.
So, Steffi,
Yes.
is there, what is the timeline on this that we need to get back to them with an answer?
It just has to go in our handbooks, which we're not gonna turn until probably August because of days of the week and things, so we just have to put them in our handbooks.
And these,
I think we should.
these are actually the amounts that we're charging the students, these are the amounts that we're charging the students, correct? And the adults, adults and students for both K through 6 and then 7 through 12. Is there, would these go up? I mean, given the budget, part of this is through federal money. This is federal money, this nutrition program. So in some ways, this is out, I guess, what control do we have to, are these set by the federal nutrition program in some way? I guess is that, or I mean, could we make these, if our budget, if we need a shortfall in our budget, can we conceivably raise these prices?
I think it has parameters.
Okay.
And then there's Idaho code regarding what needs to happen for fee increases if it meets a certain threshold. So I would need to look into the process for that.
Okay.
So if we table this, I would suggest that we have specific things that are brought back to us, I mean, specific questions that we get answered. And that's what I'm trying to figure out, what are the, what specific questions do we want to have answered if we're going to table this?
Okay. Your suggestion?
I would suggest that we table this.
Okay, so I have a motion.
Until next
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion that we table this until
Okay.
the July meeting.
Vice Chair Brown makes a motion to table this until July meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Trustee Reinbold seconds. All those in favor of tabling this till next month, please say aye.
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 I know we already closed down discussion, but it would be helpful, I think it'd be helpful to know, give some direction or give some questions so that
Okay.
that, if we have some questions afterwards, we should figure out exactly what we want to know.
You're
Rather
more
than,
than welcome to email the food service director, Terry Johnson, and myself at any time with your questions.
Okay.
Okay. Next up, I need a motion for consideration and approval of paid lunch equity.
you
missed the
s-
school board.
Oh, I'm sorry. Consideration, I need a motion for consideration and approval of 2023-2024 school bus bid.
I'll make a motion for consideration, approval of the 2023-2024 school bus bid.
Okay, Trustee Brown makes a motion for consideration and approval of 2023-2024 school bus bid. Do I have a second?
would like to amend that. I'll make a motion to bring it to the table, but we'll be asking to table it.
Okay, so there's a motion or a second from Trustee Hall to bring the consideration and approval of 2023-2024 school bus bid discussion.
There was nothing online again, and I haven't seen anything, so again, I would want to table it until the July meeting so we can actually look at the bid.
Okay, there's a motion to table it. Do I have a second?
Steffi's wanting to say something.
Oh, I'm
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say that the reason that nothing had been posted for that is because it would be very wise for Mr. Durst or the superintendent-select to be able to look over the budget prior to
Okay,
the board obligating the district in such a way.
all right. Okay, all those in favor of tabling, consideration and approval of 2023-2024 school bus bid, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it's tabled. Consideration and approval of paid lunch equity. Do I need a motion to bring it to the table?
I'll make a motion to bring to the table consideration approval of paid lunch equity.
Okay, trustee Hall makes a motion for consideration and approval of paid lunch equity. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yeah, that's what I.
We'll ask it. We'll get it to the table and then we'll
Yes.
ask.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, trustee Reinbold seconds, bringing consideration and approval of paid lunch equity to the table. Discussion.
So what is it?
Yeah.
Need some explanation.
Pulling up the But I had an attachment for it, but I don't, but it is a tool for the food service, so a merging tool. And our food service director can provide more information on that.
I make a motion that we table it until we can see that
Okay,
to the July meeting.
there's a motion to table consideration and approval of paid lunch equity.
I'll second it.
Trustee Reinbold seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion is tabled. Next up is consideration and approval of retaining outside counsel for contract negotiation and audit consultation. Do I have a motion to bring this to the table?
I'll make a motion to bring that to the table.
Okay, trustee Rainbow makes a motion to bring consideration and approval of retaining outside counsel for contract negotiation and audit consultation.
I second that.
Okay, Vice Chair, seconds. Comments?
I need more explanation on this and who's the outside counsel that we're looking at and more details.
Okay, the outside counsel would be selected either depending on what it's for, either for what do you call it? Audit consultation would be an RFQ process. Retaining outside counsel for contract negotiations is also could be an RFQ process, but it also could fall under the dollar amount not required for an RFQ process.
So what specifically, what contract, obviously we know the audit, but I know that there's, if we're looking at, are we looking at a forensic audit? Are we
Yes.
looking at a regular audit? There's, I don't know, with a outside counsel, there's actually, Edie Bailey is a big firm that is an audit firm in Spokane, actually regionally, Western region, that does forensic audits. I don't know if we really need, do we need to pay for an outside accountant or outside attorney to be paying to reach out to the auditors to
This
put it
is-
together?
This is counsel for the board. This is just an approval to go out and look for either bids or retain outside counsel that falls under the RFQ process, that falls under the threshold. And it's been advised that the board should have their own counsel.
Separate from the district?
Yes.
Okay.
Taxpayers should pay for the board's counsel.
No.
If you need counsel, that's on you.
That's what has been advised to the board.
Who's advising that?
So wait a sec. So, yeah, I do want to, I need to sort of further clarification on this, is the contract negotiations, what contract negotiations are we looking at specifically? I mean, to me, it's a little bit too vague to understand. I need,
Current contract,
any contract, or what kind of contract? I mean, are we looking at the superintendent contract?
that's
or-
one of them.
So what other contracts would we be looking at that would fall under this one?
Whatever's needed.
What's on your current list?
The current list right now is the forensic audit, possible forensic audit, and superintendent contracts.
So at this point, we need to go out and what we're looking at is to put together an we're asking our business manager, or we're asking for an RFP to be put together to go ahead and retain or seek qualifications that can help the board, not the district, retain counsel for contract negotiations and audit consultation. Is that correct? Is what I'm understanding?
Yes, but there is a threshold that would have to meet for the RFQ process. There's also, yes, that's correct.
And I guess I would like to know who recommended or who said that the board needed outside counsel. Who suggested retaining outside counsel for the board, not for the district, but for the board?
Research I've done, it's been suggested, in different areas.
Open meeting laws require me to tell her who.
I don't have it in front of me.
So I guess what I would do is, I'd like to know, know that you're looking at, you've done some research. I'd be curious about the research that you've done, and just because it is new to say that the board needs its own counsel versus the district, and I would like to know who's going to be paying for that counsel for the board, and does ICRIMP actually, would they, if the board for some reason got sued or there was some problem with the contract, would ICRIMP pay for it? Are we outside of our insurance for the district? Are we outside their parameters to pick up help us pay for the tab for if the board got sued? So I guess that's my question is ICRIMP going to cover this, or who covers this outside counsel that's for the board, not for the district? Those are some of the questions I need to know before approving it. So if there needs to be, I'd like to table it till July meeting to be able to have some of those questions answered, since it's for the board, not for the district. How much is it going to potentially be? Who's going to pay for it? Is ICRIMP going to cover us if the board gets sued? Those are some of the questions.
There's also a conflict of interest if individual board members communicate and represent the board as a whole. That's a consideration with attorney-client privilege.
So.
Okay.
So I guess there's some questions there that would like to have more research done, and I'd be happy to help with the research to sort of dig in a little further, talk to ICRIMP, get their feet, talk to somebody at ICRIMP, because they are our risk managers. They cover if there was a case against the district or us under the board. But if we're operating within our parameters of the board and our code of ethics and code of ethics, then hopefully we would be covered by ICRIMP. So I guess that's where I'm curious, the costs, ICRIMP, are some of the basic questions I've got for that one.
What is your code of ethics?
It's policy 1600. It's policy 1600 on the website.
Thank you, I'll look at that.
Mr. Rutledge, if I may, I'm curious to why you would feel the need to go outside when you already have an attorney that represents the district. Why do that? If you're following everything straight now, why do that?
Because the board has the right to retain outside counsel. That's state statute.
But as the board
On behalf of the district, not on behalf of the individuals. It has to be part of the district. You don't get legal counsel separate from the district. That's not how that works.
That's actually Idaho Code. says, "It shall be the duty of each member of the Board of Trustees," and this is Idaho Code 33506, "shall be the duty of each member of the Board of Trustees to attend all meetings, both regular and special, and the board shall have the following powers and duties." And number C is to employ an attorney or attorneys when deemed for the best interest of the district or for the purpose defending the district against any suit or for bringing action deemed necessary to be commenced by the board. And that's under our district trustees, and that's, as I say, chapter 5. So that's where I would, as I say, I would like to reach out to ICRIMP and get a read from them as our risk manager assurance entity.
All right. So do you make a motion to table it?
I'll make a motion to table it till the July monthly meeting.
Okay.
And I will, if the board, other board members approve, I will go ahead and reach out to ICRIMP and get some feedback from them on the risk management component of it.
Okay.
And I'd also like some more information on why we would need outside counsel when we have counsel on retainer, and why we would need to do contract negotiations. I'm just going to put that on the record. Our district can't afford any more.
And I would encourage you to put on public record for Marty, who's recommending that for you, because I know you said you read it online, but you said it's been recommended. You didn't say, I read it and I've researched it, you said it's been recommended. So I have a feeling you have been talking to somebody as part of public record, Marty has a Just saying.
Okay. Okay, so I have a motion to table this. Consideration and approval of retaining outside counsel for contract negotiation and audit consultation for Margie. I have a motion for Margie. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Trustee Barton makes a motion for consideration and approval of retaining outside counsel for contract negotiation and audit consultation. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The motion carries, it's tabled. Next is discussion regarding budget gap and potential shortfall solutions.
I'll make a motion to bring discussion regarding budget gap and potential short-term solutions to the table.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion to bring discussion regarding budget gap and potential short-term solutions to the table from Trustee Hall. Trustee Barton seconds. Discussion.
What, under Idaho Code, and that's, sorry, I'm trying to look at the right code number, but 2 board members can hold a special meeting. And so what I agree, I don't want to speak out of turn for Trustee Barton, but what we'd like to do is bring a special meeting, being a work session, to do some brainstorming about short-term solutions regarding the budget gap. And obviously, extracurricular, co-curricular activities, have that part of the work session, and then bring back a plan, hopefully from that work session, bring it back a plan for the full board to review, and ideally would like to do it by the July meeting. So that, as I say, 2 board members can hold a work session without the chair approving it, and it could be a special meeting without the chair. It would be a work session so that a quorum would not be needed. So I would, but if we notice it, it would be noticed so that if any other board members wanted to be part of that, but it is looking at what are the short-term solutions to address, because I know the community has been looking at some things potentially for extracurricular, co-curricular, and there may be other ways that we can work together to help with that, and any other budget gaps that there might be that we might be able to address, and where we need to partner together.
Okay. Are you, do you want to make a motion to then have a work session? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what we would like to do, yes, because we
Okay.
need to make some decisions.
All those in favor?
And I guess just to add that really quickly is that we would hopefully, I don't know if we could do it well, you can't do it next week, but we would try to do it as quickly as possible.
I can do it next week.
Can you do it?
Why can't I do it? I have 2, but we can work around it. Not
Okay,
Monday, Wednesday.
so we'll try to figure out a time that might be appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second to hold a word?
I'll second it.
Okay, I thought Carla said it. Okay, first and a second to hold a budget gap and potential shortfall short-term workshop. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. First reading of policies 3010, 3010P, 3010PF. And I need a motion to bring policy first read policies to the table.
I'll make a motion to bring the policy first reads to the table.
Okay, I have a motion to bring first read policies to the table by Vice Chair Brown. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Trustee Hall seconds.
Okay, we have not, since it was so last minute, the policy committee has not had time to look at it at all, and we're just wondering if it can be tabled until we have time.
Although I put this on the agenda because, and I didn't have time to send it to the policy committee. I let Mr. Myers know that. But this policy, I put it on the agenda because it's going to replace the enrollment policy, which there's new Idaho statute that will be effective July 1st because open enrollment is going to change for all students in the state of Idaho. So I put the draft on here, and apologies to the policy committee because I just had the update last week and I know this is going to affect July 1st. So these policies would replace our enrollment policies that we have, and the 3010 is the overall policy, and then the 3010P is the procedures, and then the 3010F would be the form. And if the board would allow, if we could look through these, I could we could pull them up and I could show you the policy. And what I'm asking for tonight would be, in one of the policies is setting the class size limits, because July 1st, the district is responsible for posting the number of kids in the classrooms, and then if we determine the class sizes, the board determines the class size or that we're full, then we use that as our guide through the policy when kids, if they want to transfer in and out of schools. So if it would be okay with your permission to look through these tonight.
And just a clarification on this, I mean, what would happen, because Susie, this would be only the first read, so technically it would not be a fully approved. I mean, we could do the approval that, there is an expedited approval that we used before, and I'd have to look at it, where then you could approve it the first time, so it'd be in effect for July 1st, and then we could go through the process of first read, second read, and then the curriculum, or the policy committee could look at it, and we could potentially amend it, but we could initially approve it under one of our policies. And was it preliminary? We did that for the bus, something related to the bus, and that way we could preliminarily, but we still had to do first and second read.
Correct. And I did, since I didn't have time to go through the policy committee, I did meet with the building administrators and just went through it. There's a couple sections where the board has to make a few decisions, but, so.
Stephanie, can you make a copy of what the Susie has for
Yes,
all of
and-
us? Because it's just too hard to do.
Is it hard for you to read up there? Yeah, and these. Sure.
But you might pull it up so others can see it.
Yes.
I would suggest pulling it up so people can see it.
So I've got them down there. Lynn, this is.
This one was online, so I did
No.
have time to review it and look at it.
So Steffi, if you start with the 3010, that's the overall. No, just 3010.
It's at the bottom, I think it's
I
actually,
learned in the policies, the Ps are procedures, the F are the forms.
and they're actually in our board book in reverse order.
Okay,
That's why it's, because the form comes first and then the procedure
Yes.
and then, but 3010 is last. And
Can you guys all see that? Okay.
so I think that this one is let's see.
the form can be provided, there's only one place there on that 3010, is that the form can be approved by the State Department of Ed or district, and we're supposed to pick one or the other.
Yes,
Which is, and then it says the district one must be substantially similar to the state forms.
yes. And so we just said the district form, and I went on and updated, it basically is the state form.
Mhm.
We just changed it, put our heading on it.
Is this a change? Is this
Yeah, this whole, yes, and this whole policy is the changed one. And the red line, I didn't know how to get that off of there when you write those. Leonard probably does.
But was this a policy for the board and then this changes?
Yeah, this is the new policy. It's completely different because of the new state law of the open enrollment for all. But there are some things that are similar, but it will replace the. So if you look at application, if you scroll down a little bit, Steffi, I'm not sure if this is, oh, let's see.
I'm trying to see what our policy is to
I
move
gave
this.
my original copy to Lynn.
Let's see. I might never looked this up before. Shoot. Here it is. It's under, it's 1300 is the, I think the one that we can adopt and then come back.
So this, where it says the superintendent shall establish a procedure for, those are all listed, those are updated.
Okay, that's.
And there's, in this policy compared to the last policy, there's a lot of steps added because of the new law. So the district, the superintendent Durst in the district will have to come up with forms for notifying parents for the enrollment. The legislation number is,
It may have been 331402, oh, legislation, but it was the code 331402, but legislation,
yeah,
it was updated 331402, so it may be on.
it's listed here as 1402, enrollment options.
but the actual House bill, and, Maureen, do you need another? Maureen, you can share that around too if people want to see it, if you want to circulate it. If anybody else, if somebody else wants to look at it, then they can. Okay.
So then on 3010, the next paragraph, student appeals, there's a whole section here. If an open enrollment application request is denied or revoked, a parent or guardian may request an administrative review by the board. The parent guardian must request the review within 5 school days of receiving the written denial notice. The board shall consider the appeal at its next regularly scheduled meeting and issue its decision in writing.
Okay, and this was pretty much set up by the legislation. I
Yes.
think this was all pretty much, I mean, this was one from ISBA that they went through and updated it according to the new legislation
Yes.
and made sure that they had it correct.
If you look at, on page 3 of the document you have, and it says re-enrollment at the top of the page. And
Yeah.
it says, open enrollment students do not need to reapply to maintain their enrollment at the school in which they're enrolled. However, the parent guardian shall notify the district of their intention to re-enroll on an annual basis no later than February 1st. And the administration, there's a piece here that's optional that says the district will provide a form for parent guardians that will serve as a notice of interest to re-enroll. The administration suggested that that be added. And basically what we'll have to do is, before February 1st, send out a notice to parents and they will just check it to let us know if they're planning on coming back to school in the fall. So it saves their seat, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So this is state law.
This is state law because any child can apply to attend any school in the state of Idaho. Yeah, starting July 1st.
So if we go in Priest River and we drive our kids to Idaho, is that mean us? Within district or it's just?
Yeah, it will mean everybody, and there will be forms. I would believe that as the board approves this policy and the district looks at this, they'll set up forms and a system so that people who are out of their attendance zone will just have to every year update. And there is guidance in the policy about once a student has been at a school for, I believe, 2 years, they're considered a student in that school.
Yeah, I think the third year it starts being, and then the other
Yes.
thing is that the parents or guardians or the student will need to provide their own transportation.
Yes.
Yes,
That
that's
this-
correct.
Neither district will, I think you can drive to the closest bus if you want to, if somebody wants to be taking the bus, but it's, neither district's picking it up in another way. And then the other one that I was a little confused on the 3010 is at the top of the page where it says sports, or it's actually the second thing. It says certain school transfers could lead to a student being ineligible to play at the varsity level for 1 year. So that's kind of an interesting.
That's pretty standard.
That's standard. That's
It's
actually
standard for
that was
often.
that was there before. So.
Yes.
It's pretty standard.
Is it? Okay.
Yes, they would need to, if a student is transferring in their varsity sports, they'll need to check the guidelines. So that's 3010. And then 3010P,
Looking backwards.
which are the open enrollment procedures.
So we have a couple of choices there.
Yeah, there are some choices here. The open enrollment application forms are available and the board would need to choose where the administration thought it would make sense to have them available on the district's website. Because when it goes on the website, they can also put it on each school site, each school tab on the Quick Link.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if the board would be okay with that.
That makes sense.
And then if you read down to the application for district students, the board would need to select one of those. And on your copy that you're looking at, it says select one, and I apologize, it's hard to see.
Yeah, it is. I was going to say.
So I'll read it for you. The first one is, for students who reside in the district, the parent guardians completes the open enrollment application form and submits it to the principal of their attendant zone home school. And then the student's homeschool principal makes a recommendation to approve it or not. And then the homeschool principal shall send the form to the out of attendance area receiving school principal. Or, for students who reside in the district, the parent guardian shall complete the open enrollment application form and submit it to the principal of the school they wish to attend. So it would be the receiving school.
And it seems we have to select one, either the 1, 2, or 3.
1, 2, and 3 are one whole option.
Okay.
Because what you're doing there is, and this had been the case before. A parent, let's say a parent goes to Idaho, they attend Idaho Hill. They come into me and they say, I want to go to PRE. So they fill out the form, they give it to me, I sign it, and then I take it, and then our offices take care of it, give it to Lynn, and then Lynn reviews it. The second option, parent just decides, okay, I want to go to PRE, I should be at Idaho Hill, I'm just going to fill out the open enrollment form and turn it into PRE. And then they'll go through the process of deciding.
Which way did the
The administration said the second choice, to keep that one just because of all the other steps that yeah, it cuts out
it
steps
really
and
does.
just gets to the point.
So the homeschool principal shall send the form to the out of attendance area receiving school principal? That's-
No,
No,
that's
the
part of
the four students who reside in the district,
Yes.
parent guardian. Okay.
Yes.
That looks like it's easier.
It is easier, and then that
Okay.
principal, you'll see in this policy, will have to review some information.
Okay. And then,
I got a question. If somebody from out of district comes in and claims they want to go to our school, do they get to pick which school they go to, or we assign them to the school?
No, they can pick whatever school, but
Okay, but now what happens if we already okayed somebody from, example, Idaho Hills to go
Yeah.
to
PRE,
Yeah, PRE. And they're already going there. Now this person comes in and that puts us over our limit. Does our own student have to go back to?
well, there's policy in here, that's a good question, and that's what we're wondering, how this is all gonna shake out as we live it. I don't know.
Okay, good answer.
Yeah, I mean, we'll read through this and try and live through it. That's why we want to set the class sizes, because let's say, for example, we're going to say that we're not going to have any more than 20 kids in kindergarten. And let's say we already have 20 kids enrolled. Then we don't have any open seats right now. So if a student comes in, we already have that at Idaho Hill for first grade, because we have 29 first graders. We have 5 people on a waiting list. But we had to tell them, we have too many anyway. So we'll put you on a waiting list. We'll have to let you know in August if anybody moves out.
I guess my question was, a kid from outside the district can't come in and bump a kid that we've already allowed.
No, not if they're there.
You can't bump them back to
No.
where they were, okay. I just want to make sure that
I think not. I don't think so. I think if
The
once
state's
they're
involved.
set in
Don't
there.
tell them what they're
So the inter-district transfers would have priority over an outer
Yeah,
district coming in?
Yes.
Is what he's asking.
Yeah.
Yes. And it might be suggested, we gave you some class, we'll get to that. You may want to change that, I don't know. So I think what I heard the board say that they were okay with that second option, the simple.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
because we
then-
don't want to bump any of our students that are already in there
No.
for someone that is
Yeah.
just coming into the
Yeah.
district.
So then, if you turn to the next page, page 2, the application for out-of-district students, there's a little paragraph there. And then, decision regarding the application, there are options that we would need the board to decide on. The principal sends the form to the superintendent, who shall, and option A would be the superintendent would form a team of at least 3 people to consider open enrollment applications. All members of the team must be knowledgeable about the student, the student's disciplinary record, the student's attendance record, the student's disability if applicable. And then it says, this team shall include the superintendent, the principal or vice principal of the building, the student who wishes to attend, and the superintendent's designee. Option B is designate an administrator to evaluate the data, if any, and/or the placement options. After reviewing the student's file, the designee has discretion to review and accept or deny the open enrollment application on a case-by-case basis and applying the factors noted above. The administrator, if possible, should be knowledgeable and/or review the applicable records concerning, and then it lists the same thing. So the administration team recommended option B only because they figured that this would go to the superintendent anyway if there was any questions. And the principal has to be, they're involved either way. So it would be, their recommendation was they could do the screening so that the superintendent doesn't have to do that, but whatever the board chooses.
It seems like option B is more, at this point, is less onerous than option A, because with option A, you're tying up 3 people, and option B is you're having one person go through the process. And I guess I would say just because of right now, we might want to look at it in the future, but right now, I would suggest doing option B.
The superintendent has a lot, as you know, to do, and they'll have to sign off on these as well. So it might save a step, because the similar people. Who designates the administrator? That would be, it would be I would assume that it would be the administrator of the receiving school.
Yeah.
So if I'm getting a student that's coming in, I will contact that principal, and there's specific records we have to ask for that are listed here.
Yeah.
Because then we have to give in writing, this policy requires us to give in writing a statement why we wouldn't approve a student coming in. If they have an attendance issue, chronic absenteeism, we don't have to accept them. If they have behavior record, unless it's a IEP or 504.
We should have just let the principal take care of it and the superintendent out of it.
Well, that's what Margie was saying. Well, the superintendent would maybe later be involved, but that's what Margie
But
was
he doesn't
saying.
have to do the investigation.
Right,
Yeah.
right, they wouldn't have to do that
Yeah.
paperwork. So option B. And then we're on the bottom where it says applications will normally be considered on a first come, first served basis. Then this option that's in gray, it says Idaho code does not discuss granting priority like this, but this is an option. And the situations here, I'll read it to you. However, in situations where openings are limited and applications are received in a similar timely fashion, the superintendent may give priority if a student resides in the West Bonner County District and seeks enrollment in another district school, has a brother or sister enrolled at the requested school, has a parent, guardian employed by the district, or has a unique situation or extraordinary circumstance. And the administration team felt like, yes, we should add that option. And their reasoning was because often we hire an employee or a teacher who lives out of district and they want to bring their children to our district. And those are times when you would want to do a special consideration.
Okay.
And I think that makes sense, having that additional option there added.
Okay. And then on page 3, there's just a few corrections, but one of the things here, it says parents must, I'm reading down on the bottom where it's numbered items. If the request for open enrollment is approved, the notification will inform the parents of the following. Parents must provide transportation or get student to the nearest district bus stop if space is available. So that will probably be important for us, especially in the Bay Hoodoo area, because our buses are so full. Parents must notify the district by February 1st of each year regarding their intention to re-enroll their child under the open enrollment program. And so we were talking about that, thinking that maybe at end of quarter would be a good time just to send out a check, a sign up for parents. That open enrollment may be revoked if the student presents issues of chronic absenteeism, commits serious disciplinary infractions, is expelled, or if the receiving school exceeds maximum capacity with resident students within their first 2 years of admission. So that kind of answers your question. If, let's say I have a kindergartner that comes to Idaho Hill from Priest River, and then we fill up the next year, that student might have to go back if they haven't been in the school for 2 years. Could.
I'd like to be able to eliminate that.
Okay, this is a first read, so. Yeah, and then as we live through it, we might need to, I would guess they might have to update the law too as districts go through this.
Once we approve somebody to do it, and somebody else coming in and bumping them if it's less than 2 years.
Well, you might consider adding if it's in district, keep in the out-diff district, wouldn't bump your local kids. Is what I think you're saying.
Yeah.
So then on page 4, grounds for denial of application, factors which may cause an open enrollment application to be denied include a school, grade, or program has lack of available classroom space and/or staff, such as when the current enrollment is at or above the following capacity limits. And this is what I need, this would be the action item, if anything, you could approve tonight, so then we know our class limits. The admin suggested for K1 classrooms, no more than 20 to 21 students. Even though we have classes higher than that, but what that does is set the max, that we would already consider some classes at capacity. Second and third grade, same thing, 20, 21. Fourth through sixth grade would be 26 students.
And just, Susie, it says 27 here.
Yep.
Does it? Okay.
Yep.
I have 26, so 26, 27. 7th through 12th grade, it was 26 students in the core classrooms, or they also do a divisor, 161 students per teacher. It averages out to 26 students in a core classroom.
And that one, it shows on, at least the one that was posted, a set of 161, 160, but the 26 on that one.
Yes. And then special education classroom, 6 per teacher, and English language learners, 20. We only have 1 right now in our district, so you don't have to worry about that. Alternative schools, we don't have an alternative right now, but 12 students. And then I added on the bottom of this combination classrooms because of our Priest Lake Elementary School. And we really felt strongly you wouldn't want to go more than 20 kids because it's 2 grades.
And it's,
Let me ask you this, before this page, it looks like they were taking out special ed or ELL. Must meet the requirements.
Yes, on number 4,
Yeah, why would they take that out?
because they addressed it in another spot, because state law requires that we cannot deny an enrollment of any special education student. And if they're,
Even though they don't meet the requirement?
if they have chronic absenteeism and that is due to their disability, then we cannot deny them because of that. Let's say if we have, it depends on a student's IEP or their 504. If they have behavior record and that is because of their disability, we cannot deny them.
So they took it out because of the new legislation that now changes that? Because it was in before?
Well, they took it out, I believe, because I don't think they needed it in here, because if the title is, if the request for open enrollment is approved, the notification will inform the parents of the following. And so the special education, those learners, that's already given. They're included in all of this. They're included in all of these requirements.
and the bill, just for people, the bill number is, now I'm trying to lose it, is Senate Bill 1125, is the Senate, 1125 is the Senate bill for this open enrollment.
And then towards the bottom on page 4, because number 1 was the class sizes, number 2 is the student has been suspended or expelled in their home district, so that's a reason for denial. The 3, the student has a documented history of repeated serious disciplinary infractions. This includes infractions which could be grounds for suspension or exclusion. The student has issues of chronic absenteeism. A student is considered chronically absent if the student is absent 10% or more school days during the year. And then it is determined that information on the open enrollment application has been misrepresented or was incomplete. And then Maureen, it says here, if this, did you see it? Yeah, that's why they just covered it somewhere else. And then on page 5, it talks about the revocation of open enrollment and then the steps that the district will need to go through.
Can we, if somebody comes from another district and they're special needs, can we request a new evaluation? Or do we have to go, this came up before.
Okay.
Do we have to rely on, say, Sandpoint's evaluation and live up to that? Or can we?
So let me make sure I understand what you're asking. I think what you're asking is if a student with an IEP comes to our district from another district or wherever, can we reassess them or do we have to go by their IEP? Kim Shaner would be the one to ask about that, but I believe that we accept their IEP, we can amend their IEP if need be. And amend would be update, It would depend on when their evaluation had happened, that we probably wouldn't do a whole evaluation, but we could amend if need be.
Yeah, because that was what Kim had said.
Yes. Yes.
They're also able to be reviewed every 3 years.
Yes, but if you have a student with a disability who applies and you don't have the services at that school and you're already at capacity at your other school, then you can deny because you don't have any room. That would be the. So that's the procedure. And the backside of that talks about students with disabilities. So that's the procedure document, and then the form document is just this, and it's very similar to the state's, and ours, it has all the components that we would need to meet the law and to meet all of our needs.
Where does it say, in terms of what you just said, they could be denied if you're at capacity or don't have that service? Where is it?
Go to page 6 of the 3010P. It says students with disabilities. In district and out of district students with disabilities are not treated differently from students without disabilities with respect to consideration for placement in the school of their choice unless the district has made an individual determination that disability-related needs of a particular student with a disability cannot be reasonably met at the school of their choice. Additionally, students applying who have a 504 plan or IEP may not be denied enrollment or have enrollment revoked if the behavior resulting in disciplinary action or chronic absenteeism is a manifestation of their disability.
Does that fall under when they're in district and we don't have the services provided? Is that where the reimbursement comes in to get them to the school? Like, is that on our district as well, if we don't have the services? Like, say we had a blind student that we didn't have the ability to serve, and we sent them for the school.
Question.
Yes, yes, we actually had a student who went to the deaf school, and we just paid in lieu transportation for them to get to the airport. Yes.
Did you have to pay for the school itself? Was there a tuition?
I don't think so. I think it was just we did in lieu because of busing. Yeah. So that's it.
Okay.
It's a lot that is new for the district.
Any
And,
other-
yeah, so anyway, it's a class size.
Do we need any clarification? I can make a motion, and I've got the third, it would be a motion based on policy 1300 to temporarily approve the policy as we've discussed it, and then go through the process, the first read and second read.
3010?
Well, 1300 is the policy to suspend. It says, under 1310 on the first page, although approval of new amended or policy requires a minimum of 2 readings, temporary approval may be granted by the board in lieu of formal policy to meet emergency conditions or special events which take place before formal action can be taken. So I would say that we make a temporary approval, as we've discussed, according to policy 1300, and then we put a first read and a second read on the agenda for July and maybe August.
Okay, is that your motion?
Yes.
Okay, so,
Well, a question, wouldn't this consider a first read already at this point, since we've gone through this?
If we're approving it completely, it could be considered a first read, and then the second read, if there's some responses back, it could, I guess it could be temporary.
What makes it different?
It isn't, I'm just giving you more time to try to figure out if there's things you want to look at, but if this is pretty straightforward.
Would it be any different if it is a first read?
Yeah, so I would say we do a temporary,
So
we-
there probably is 30 of them, just to make a difference?
we can always, I would say, I would make a motion to make a temporary approval for the full thing and have this act as our first read. We can always add a third read. So, yeah, if we don't like it after the second read, we can, there's nothing that stops us from doing a third read.
Yeah.
So I will make I will revise my motion or amend my motion to say that we approve this, do a temporary approval of this set of enrollment policies under 1300, and this will be our first read, and so that it can be approved it can go into effect by July 1st.
Okay, so Trustee Hall makes a motion
Okay.
to accept this first read in a, or not emergency, but put it in action as stated under policy 1310.
1300. 1300.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second that.
Vice Chair Brown seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the policy is adopted.
Okay.
Okay, next is superintendent report.
Okay, I'll make it quick. So we had lots of end of school year celebrations, just as Lynn mentioned. I just wanted to let the board know, we had a community safety awareness at Idaho Hill Elementary, where Life Flight actually landed their helicopter, and then they had all different kinds of agencies there, and they had the kids travel around in stations so that they could learn all different kinds of safety. Kudos to Savannah Jones in the back, and Melissa Nelson and Renee Gamber, because they organized all of that. There were many educational field trips going on in the district, and a number of classes went to the Spark Smithsonian exhibit, so that was fun. And we had student art exhibits, and then I think Lynn mentioned the track meet that happened with our 5th and 6th graders. Jared Hughes organizes this at the high school and runs it like a professional track meet for the 5th and 6th grade kids in the district. And so it is quite a neat thing, and as well, the kids then meet each other before they go to the junior high. So that was very successful. And then there were a number of music and dance performances, and Ann Chamberlain did her magic with the spring performances, training kids and performing, so lots of fun there. At Idaho Hill, this fourth quarter, we had 115 students. 72% of our students reached the reading challenge. And so they took all of those kids to Riley Creek and did a bunch of fun activities. And again, the ladies in the back were in charge of that, and it was amazing. And then PRE had their attendance activity where they had, 110 kids qualified for attendance for fourth quarter. So those are really great celebrations. Professionally, we had an in-service day on June 13th, and approximately 55 of our K through 6 staff and paraprofessionals attended the final class to get their certification for dyslexia training that the state is requiring, and that was done by Christy Ann Lane, who is a reading specialist from the Lee Pesky Center, and she does an outstanding job. The other staff in the district, they met together and worked on their essential standards, curriculum, scope and sequences, and data. And then we do have summer school planned for our high school students that need credit recovery, as well as our special education students that need extended school year. And our summer lunch program will be beginning next week. And then just a shout out on some ISAT scores. I just wanted to let you know that in math, we had some grade levels, classrooms that scored above the state average. 6th grade at PRE was above the state average, 5th grade at PRE. At Idaho Hill, 6th grade, 3rd grade, at Priest Lake Elementary, 5th grade, 6th grade, and at Priest River Junior High, 7th grade. They all were above the state average on the ISAT preliminary results. And then for English language arts, we had our 6th grade at Priest River Elementary, our 3rd grade, 4th grade, 6th grade at Idaho Hill, our 3rd grade, 5th grade, 6th grade at Priest Lake Elementary, and our 7th and 8th grade all beat the state average on the ISAT this year. And
Really good.
another shout out is in science, all of the schools who took the science test were above the state average, so that's PRE, Idaho Hill, Priest Lake, Priest River Junior High, were all above the state average, and the high school missed it by 3 points. So just wanted to shout that out. And Shining Star, we had one 6th grade class, 76% of our students scored proficient on the ELA. So that's pretty exciting. So,
Awesome.
amen, I'm good.
Thank you. Okay, next is treasurer's report.
Steffi, will you explain the zeros there?
Yes.
Please, because I know we've gone through this before, but will you do that?
Can you guys see that?
So on the beginning balance here, and it's here, it shows zeros because the year was rolled over on July 1st rather than June 30th of 2022. There's no way in the accounting system to change that rollover. Our fiscal year is from July 1st through June 30th, and so it was it's just a system thing. I can provide other reports that show the beginning balance, and we can also look at the ending balances as it aligns in the audit reports and see what that beginning balance would have been for the next year. So there are options, but for this specific report, due to those rollover dates, that is why you see a beginning balance of 0 on this report.
So clarification, that's the beginning balance as of July 1st, 2022, and it's not, doesn't change every month when you run these reports. Is that correct?
Correct, it does not change every month.
So it's not a beginning balance for every month, it's the beginning balance at the beginning, the actual beginning of the fiscal year.
Correct. At least it shouldn't change every month because we shouldn't be messing with our.
So what other reports might be generated, that could be generated where we might,
We have lots of options. All you would have to ask for is give me 3 or 4 criteria or even just one, and I could look for the report that best suits what you're looking for. But we have a very robust accounting system, and while that is amazing because we can generate a wide variety of reports, the downfall is that things like this can happen because there's so many parameters that have to be followed.
so I think the one thing that I was looking at is the levy, the 2018, 2019 cash balance. That was, seemed rather high. And I'm curious about that one. It's a $2,102,779.73.
Correct. So part of the reason that this account is going to, or this fund, excuse me, is going to be higher is because in past years, there were class fees that were transferred out or paid out of this fund into the student body fund. That did not occur this year. There were past levy funds that were used for that. So that number is high.
And maybe for next time, I know there's a lot on the plate, but I'd be curious to I guess all the reports that you have given us, if I looked at those related to that fund number, would I see, I think you gave us in the last month or so, sort of the general journal entries, would that help me see that, what's behind that number?
Yes.
Okay.
And I can pull up the general ledger report for that fund specifically, and you can see exactly the activity that's occurred within that fund. And there's a lot of factors that go into the question you're asking.
And this one is the student body. We're basically the trustees of this, the student body's funds. I mean, we're obviously trustees of the whole school district, but this one is actually under the, it's under the
We have two
student.
connection groups in our accounting system. Well, actually more than two connection groups, but specifically for this fiscal year, two connection groups. We have a student body connection group and then the district side. Part of the reason for that is through the accounting system, the functions within them or the capabilities for controls are slightly different. And I can explain that in further detail if you would like. But at the end of the year for the audit, the student body gets summarized into the district connection and also on the audit report. So the data is held separately, but it ultimately gets compiled.
Bless you.
And I've been looking into which reports are best to provide the board in terms of these types of budget reports to give you the information that you're seeking to make decisions. So if you have feedback on what you'd like to see or how you'd like to see it differently, please don't hesitate to advise. Be happy to provide the report you're searching for. Or multiple reports even.
Okay. And then the other thing with transfers in, because I'm looking at this whole thing for transfers in, are we expecting any transfers coming in? Because that would be coming, when we, correct, that you'd be drawing down on certain, you'd be drawing down on certain accounts. I'm looking at the negative, SRSA 254.
So it,
Would we be getting a transfer in on that at some point?
I think what you're referring to for a transfer in is a reimbursement. So-
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And I guess when are you thinking those will be in July? Will those come in July, some of those?
So I believe actually, one of them should be coming in, one of these SRSA payments should be coming in this month, if it hasn't already. If it hasn't already, then it will be, we will probably be receiving it in July, but then it would be booked as this fiscal year. And then the remainder of SRSA, when it's drawn down by the end of this month, will be booked as a receivable. So what you see there is actual, and we will make sure that we close up the books.
Okay. Okay. I don't have any more questions.
I don't have any questions.
I don't either.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. All right, next, comments from the audience. I have two. First is Marilee Brumley.
She got ill, she had to leave.
Okay. All right. Roger Gregory.
Thank you. I know it's time limit, so I make notes, try and go through it fast. I'm one old part, sort of a common sense type of guy. And in regards to this, and the new superintendent, I implore you to listen to the voice of the people. Sadly, I don't know most of you. If you're new to the area, if you're born and raised here, I'm sure you're nice people, and thank you for your dedication to the school board. But there's a rumor, and you know rumors go, that a couple people on the board think that many of the citizens of Priest River are narrow-minded and don't know much about the operation of schools. With that in mind, I'm not tooting my horn, but I'd like to give some of my credentials. My father came to Bonner County in 1980. I was born and raised in Sandpoint, graduated from Sandpoint High School, University of Idaho. I spent 5 years in the Army, including 1 year with 1st Infantry Division in the Vietnam War. I've been in business in Priest River for 56 years, and many people in Priest River are descendants of the Italians who came here in 1892. So there's a lot of us that go back a long ways. Basically, we like to have local input and some degree of control of our own school district and the education of our children. I understand you're seriously considering hiring Mr. Durst. I'm sure he's a nice person, but according to the newspaper, he's had many demands: salary, vehicles, stipends, meals, and the list goes on. It has been my...
Time's up. Go ahead and finish.
Okay. Thanks to... 1 second. In my business, over 50 years in business, somebody that makes these kind of demands spells trouble for the future. In addition, many times when you hire an outsider, they use the position of a stepping stone to a future larger district. So maybe they're here 1 or 3 years and they're gone. When you hire a local person, they will stick around for a longer period of time. You should hire Susie Lucky for the position. She has proven to be a dedicated teacher, principal, temporary superintendent, and she won't be leaving. I would think that school boards always want the support of businesses and citizens. So in that line, we hope to pay close attention to what the majority of locals are saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service, sir.
Thanks, Roger. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is board reflection. Do we have anything to say?
No, not at this time. I guess I just want to thank, just one quick one, is just I want to thank everybody for being respectful of each other tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Here.
I do have one question. Does Mr. Patterson get to stay in the back for executive meeting?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
And I would just have one comment to make sure you guys understand, you have to leave one executive session to go into the next one. From your personnel and litigation, you can't discuss them both in the same executive. You make a motion to go into one, and you come out of it, you make a motion to go into the separate one, and you have to discuss the others. I just wanted to remind that policy.
Thank you. With that, I need a motion to go into executive session as provided for in Idaho Code 74-206 1B, personal matters as provided for in Idaho Code 74-206 1F, litigation.
Are you talking personnel matters or personnel matters?
Personnel matters, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I make a motion.
And that would be a violation of Idaho Code if you
lump those into two motions. You have to go in under one section, have your executive session come out of that one. It would be a violation of Idaho code to combine them into one motion.
Okay.
So-
Vice Chair Brown makes a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second that.
Trustee Reinbold makes a motion, or seconds. All those in favor, or roll call?
Just to clarify, we are at this point we will be going executive session to do 74-206-1B personnel matters at this point.
Oh, I see. Okay, I thought.
Yeah, no, we can't do, but what she's, what's Kay's saying, Ms. Salcesser?
Oh, and as provided, okay.
Okay,
I
so-
thought they were both one and the same.
No, we need to do, so executive session as provided in, the motion should be to go into executive session as provided for in Idaho Code 74-206-1B personnel matters. And then we'll have to come out,
Okay.
make a, do a potential action or non-action, and then go in for the second one.
Okay. The amended, that's an amended motion?
It's an
Okay.
amended motion.
Okay, that's the first and the second. Roll call, please. Trustee Barton?
Here.
Trustee Hall?
Here.
Vice Chair Brown?
Here.
Trustee Reinbold? Here. And Chairman Rutledge here. Okay, we're going into executive session.
And Doug and the cronies are coming out, right?
Yes.
The cronies are out, Doug's in. Oh. No. Well, time I thought there was a function.
He's safe. Stephanie, you consider a file?
Leave this here. Well, I'm going to take my